particularized conversational implicatures are slightly different from other forms of implicatures. In this kind of implicature, we rely heavily on the context in which a conversation is taking place, because inferences which are used to understand the meaning are heavily dependent on the context, and without the knowledge of that specialized context in which a conversation is taking place, we are usually unable to understand the meaning. That's why we see that most of our conversations in our daily talk also happen in such situations, and we draw meanings based on some locally recognized inferences. By locally recognized inferences, we imply the inferences which are available in the context. In order to understand this point further, we can have a look at this example. The participant A or the speaker A says, "Hey, coming to the party tonight," whereas B replies, "My parents are visiting." He's not, apparently B seems to violate the maximum of relevance because he is not providing a direct answer to the question. And he seems to, apparently on the face of it, he seems to have obscured the information, but in fact he has not, because in a certain context in which that conversation might have been taking place, he would have been meaning by saying that I would not be able to attend the party because my parents are visiting. And in order to make Tom's response meaning, the other speaker will have to understand the situation in a whole scenario. And we also need to understand, because one student is inviting another student to a party, whereas the second student which is being invited, he cannot attend the party, and he says that so because his parents are visiting him and he would spend that night with his parents, therefore he cannot attend the party. So in order to understand this meaning, we need to understand the entire context in which this conversation is taking place. In order to elaborate this point further, let's have a look at another example here. Here one friend, Martin, is saying, "Wow, has your boss gone crazy?" And the other friend, Mary, says, "Let's go get some coffee." I mean, two statements seems to fall in different directions. They're moving towards different angles. How could we make meaning out of it? We need to know the context. And context here is, Martin has walked into Mary's office and noticed all the work is on her desk. Her desk is full of work. And in a wave of sympathy or kind of togetherness, he would have said that your boss has gone crazy because he has suggested you, or he has given you that much work, a bulk of work. And Mary, realizing that her boss is probably round the corner, which Martin doesn't know, she says that let's go get some coffee, that let's go away from here and talk about it. And she wants to escape the situation because she knows that her boss is around, whereas Martin is not aware of it. So if you put this conversation in this context, you would be able to understand the meaning. Without knowing the context, one cannot understand or imply the meaning from the conversation between Martin and Mary. This is what is quite obvious. We have another example here. A participant A says, "I am going to the prison tomorrow." And B says, "Will $200 do?" That means, will $200 be enough? For what? You can understand that only when you know the background context in which that conversation is taking place. There is probably no question about it that you would be able to understand the complete meaning or intention of the speakers without knowing the context. The context would probably be that A is visiting the jail as a prison and proposing to B to help him in funding the shopping for that prison. And B is, in this context, says that will $200 too will be enough to do the shopping which you intend to do for the prison. So this kind of particularized conversational implication, as I said earlier, can be understood in the particular context in which they are taking place.